affordability issue is from the 22% increase in prices and inflation under Biden. There's just full stop right there. That's the affordability issue. And you ought to be able to explain that better.
Right. That's right. And look, I think that with the economic team, President Trump and the economic team led by Scott Bessent, you have people who very much understand this. And it was they were thrown, what I would say, the worst economy for the average American in my adult lifetime, in terms of like you said, the incredible increase in prices at the household.
There's a max reduction for tips is $25,000. So imagine if you are somebody who uses tips as part of your salary or to make your living, that will have an impact. The senior deduction, you have to be 65 years old. It phases out at $75,000. But again, for people who are saying gas prices, which are lower, but that food prices are higher, that it's hard for them, that might help as well. There's a no tax on car loan interest. Now, that can be helpful, but what might be even more helpful is what they announced last week, which is they're doing away with some of the EPA rules on these car and fuel mileage. That actually will help bring the cost of cars down probably even more. And then a child tax credit expansion. That's very bipartisan. A lot of people like this. A lot of people love to see good economic news, but I would say Josh Holmes, our next guest here. Josh, you know communications very well. To me, economic communications is one of the hardest things. If the economy is great, everyone feels it. If it doesn't feel so great, it's hard to convince people that it's going so well. One question for you. How important is it to find the right ratio for President Trump to say, look what I inherited from President Biden, but also to look ahead at what's to come?
Yeah, well, listen, I think President Trump is doing exactly what he needs to do in terms of getting out there and selling this. You cannot let Democrats frame an affordability debate.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all as you watch this broadcast. It's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. Of course, we have Nicole Bennett.
Hey, y'all.
And Shelly E.
Hi, everybody.
All right. I am so happy to be back with you all tonight. I missed everyone. Nicole and Shelly E held it down last week. I watched all the shows. They were great shows, but I am happy to be back. So let's get into it. We have a lot to cover tonight, starting with how the Democrats are panicking over all the Trump's economic policies set to hit in 2026. We're going to go over the recent elections and what the results mean. Also, Jasmine Crockett's Senate campaign launch, which was a dumpster fire. And then we're going to change gears a little bit and bring you the latest regarding the Republican turncoats. Okay, talking about Marjorie Taylor Green, fresh off of her latest interview, slamming President Trump again. And the latest with Candace Owens. Folks, she has stooped even lower than I personally ever thought she could. She is now slamming Charlie Kirk's widow, Erika Kirk, today. Erika Kirk came out and responded to the conspiracy theories, and Candace Owens is not backing down. And I am just steaming over this, and I don't know why I am so upset about this. But we're going to get to it. We're also talking about how the Trump administration just ended a woke legal doctrine that rewrote America's standards, and so much more. So much more. So before we light this fire, do your part. Tap that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications. We're live here on YouTube. And if you're on the go, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat. We shout out every super chat. So drop your thoughts, show your love, and join the conversation that the mainstream media wishes didn't exist. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amp rallying call for freedom. All right, ladies, let's set it off. Just really quickly, what are you guys most anxious about talking about tonight? We got a lot to talk about. What are you so anxious to talk about, Shelly?
Look, I want to talk about what benefits the American people ultimately, because I think that's the more important issue going forward. The Republican Party, whatever. That's what I want to talk about. Americans first.
All right. Nicole, what are you anxious to get to tonight as we start the show?
It's the economy, baby. Let's talk about money, money, money.
All right. Well, that's up next. So let's get into it. Before we do, want to acknowledge our super chatters, folks. Thank you so much. Kung Fu CJ says, hello, Papa. Sorry. Papa Baldwin family. Let's get it. All right. All right. So let's get into this economy. All right. Let's talk about it. So as you all saw at the top of the show, we were talking about pretty much that, the economy. Everyone is anticipating 2026, where a lot of President Trump's power policies are dropping. He's not waiting around. His agenda locked and loaded for 2026. He's, of course, building on what he's done in 2025, and he's rolling out slashing taxes, hammering tariffs, and so on. So I want to get your thoughts on what we just saw first, Nicole.
Listen, I love every single moment of it. There are very few segments of our population that are not going to see something good come from this new economic policy. I also like that he's taken his show on the road, the news on the road, right? We're not waiting for the mainstream media to pay attention to this. He was in Pennsylvania talking to the people about U.S. Steel finally opening up another blast furnace. And if you're not from Pennsylvania, steel is what made that state, and it's going to keep the state prosperous. Such a huge deal. It's like reviving an industry from the ashes so people can make money again without spending $200,000 and $300,000 on a degree. This is great news for and people who collect tips, service industry people, senior citizens, people who drive cars, people who buy cars. At this point, it's just raining Trump money all over the place. Newborns get their Trump account. If you can't get behind this economic policy, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. Shelly, you heard in the top of the show, they were talking about Biden's inflation. So again, they've been talking about this affordability, and a lot of Americans are stuck on that affordability. But a lot of this is due to Biden's inflation. Started low at 1.4% in 2021, exploded to a 40-year peak of 9.1% in June of 2022. And now it's cooled to 3% as of January of 2025. But is it a late dip? Is it too little, too late? What are your thoughts there?
Okay, so let me say this. Yes, we do need to acknowledge that the inflation increased astronomically under the Biden administration. That's one thing. We can do 2 or 3 things at one time, as Nicole would like to point out sometimes here. Let me say, I don't give a damn. Biden, yes, he can get the blame for that. Right now, as an American, I want Americans to have more. I applaud. I welcome these new tax cuts that are coming and coming forth for Americans to benefit, and they should. What I'm holding the Republicans, because we have the majority right now, we should be putting these things in permanent place. We should be making them permanent. We should not be stopping here. I'm tired of Americans getting crumbs, and we're supposed to be happy about it, even when we're in charge. I'm not a damn bird. I don't eat crumbs. I want our money back. I want more money. I want permanent tax cuts. We have consumer prices. They can be mixed. Eggs can go up. Beef can go up, and other things as well. Car loans and the interest. Those are all great. I am not faulting President Trump for that. I welcome those. I'm applauding. But I want the people who are elected to do more. Why the hell do we Americans have to have limited time frames on when we can claim these taxes, like Social Security for refunds or credits or whatever? Why are we limited when almost everybody in Congress, our elected officials, when they can claim a pension after a year, 3 years in service? No, make it permanent for Americans. I want more. Americans first. That's what I want.
Yeah. Well, one thing we can I think people are excited about is the Senate, the GOP and the Senate are uniting behind healthcare proposal as the chamber prepares to vote tomorrow on the ACA subsidies. So they're expected to vote on the dueling proposals, but neither is expected to pass. I know you've been talking about this for a while, Nicole. What are your thoughts on this? This is coming out of Just the News reporting.
Well, it's going to take some time. One of the things I think that are going to be very positive coming out of this is that the Democrats are going to walk away from the American people to continue to pay Obamacare subsidies for another 4 or 5, or I think the lowest they went is 3 years. That's just unacceptable. It's unacceptable even to some of the people in their own caucus. We simply can't afford it. At this point, a lot of the things that cost us more in healthcare cost us more because we're having to provide emergency services to people who are not citizens of our nation. It costs a lot of money. People come in, they have babies, they have accidents, and we never see a dime on that. So it's a difficult situation. It's going to be a Band-Aid situation for America. What I need from them is very simple. 1, pre-existing conditions. Take that away from insurance companies. Whatever you got, and you're going to pay for it. Number 2, this foolishness about kids staying on their parents' insurance until they're 26 is ridiculous. If you're a young adult and you're working, you should have your own health insurance, right? 2, interstate commerce. I should be able to buy insurance from wherever I want to buy it from, not just here in Maryland. Those 3 things in anybody's proposal will rally the American public behind it. Anything over that, they're going to face backlash. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. This comes down to just being a fine American. And I'm hopeful that at some point, these 2 warring parties will get together and say, hey, these are the things we agree upon, and we should push forward with that.
Yeah, I agree. But I got to be a realist here. When they started talking about young adults were able to stay on insurance on your parents' policies up until 26 and the pre-existing conditions, those were 2 major things a lot of Americans were rallying behind. So do you really think, Shelley, if they get rid of those, that's going to be a winning issue for midterms or even upcoming elections?
It probably will not be for midterms. I agree with you there. The thing is, KJ, and I appreciate this. This thing about we need time, and Nicole, I understand what you're saying. We need time. Americans have been eating these costs for decades. This is not new. This is why I keep blaming our Congress. I don't care who's in office. I'm blaming the Congress because they're the ones who are supposed to write this. And let's be honest. Thanks to John Roberts, our Supreme Court justice, he was the one that made the final nail in the coffin for Obamacare to say that it was constitutional. And if people can vote for their electors and get it changed, well, guess what? This ball has been going down the hill. When does the hill stop? When does it stop? Americans have been eating these costs. Our congressmen, the ball stops or the ball drops at their feet. We have been eating the cost. Healthcare is a huge expense for the American taxpayer, and there are other. Nicole gave the 3 main ones, but we should have healthcare savings accounts. Again, my suggestion is to give everybody back their Social Security, which we have been paying into, that the government quote unquote invests for us, and we don't get a return on investment on it. Give us back our Social Security, and we can get healthcare savings accounts set up just like that. We can make that mandatory. You get your Social Security back, and your money goes right into a healthcare savings account. Because guess what? That Social Security that the government is collecting and supposedly investing, it's not going to be there for us, number one, and it's certainly not going to be enough. Let's stop the games. Everything can't be only based on, midterm or not midterm. I get it. Those timelines are always there, but the American people are still suffering from the cost and the expenses.
KJ, Shelley is right. We got into this hole from continuing resolution after continuing resolution after continuing resolution. Shelley and I talked about this earlier on in the year. They have to stop kicking the can. Someone is going to have to stand up and take the stab in the back, the arrows to the face, and call this mess what it is. This is a monstrosity. The United States government does not do health. They shouldn't even be involved. Let's just call that what it is, right? But Michelle's baby from the chat said the right thing. Do you remember when they were fining us for not having the insurance that they wanted us to have, but they just give you this little pool to pick from? We can't even decide which parts of the policy we want. I don't want to pay for somebody else's abortion. I do not. I have no desire to do that. So it should be a la carte, like everything else we buy in the United States. It should be like buying a car. Oh, I want a red one. I'll pick a red one. I want cloth seats. I don't really like leather. We should be able to cherry pick a policy from anywhere in this nation. We are capitalists. That system works. It will drive down prices, kick these, 25, 26-year-olds, go get your own doggone insurance. It will help tremendously, but hopefully they come out with something that's workable, because the end of January, it may be the reason why the government shuts down again.
Well, I agree. I agree with everything both of you ladies have said. I am all in on President Trump's economic agenda. I have been in on this since he announced it during the campaign. But are Americans in for this, and are they receiving the message? Well, one thing that makes me unsure about this is the Miami mayoral race recently. So a Democrat has won Miami. The election was last night. She is the first Democrat to win in nearly 30 years. That's according to the New York Post. And they are saying this is marking a major loss to the Republican Party. What do you all think? Take a look here. This is clip 12.
In Miami now in the race for mayor, which may tell us something about next year's midterms. Voters elected a Democrat in Miami for the first time in 30 years. Eileen Higgins defeated Emilio Gonzalez in a runoff on Tuesday. President Trump had endorsed the Republican in this race, putting it into the national spotlight. Higgins focused her campaign on affordability. There's that word again, and the president's immigration crackdown. She will be Miami's first female mayor and its first non-Hispanic mayor since the 1990s.
All right. So again, Higgins, she's 61, beat out Trump-backed Republican Emilio Gonzalez in the Florida city's runoff Tuesday night, and will become the city's first Democratic mayor since 1998. The victory, according to the New York Post, is an upset for GOP lawmakers across the country who rallied behind Gonzalez as the election became seen as a test of voter reaction to President Trump's first year of his second White House term. Nicole, do you see it as that? What are we supposed to look at these results? How are we supposed to look at them?
No, I don't see it as that. It's just another election. Here's what we should see, though. And my good friend Scott Pressler laid it out just as plain today on social media. Republicans have this thing that when we have the White House and majority control in one of the two houses, people feel like they're not voting again until the next presidential election. Election time is over. They're not paying attention. So we have historically low Republican turnout in what we call off-year elections. Every year in the United States, there's an election somewhere for something. Republicans, however, only like to vote for the top of the ticket. I don't know why we are that way, but this is what time and voter information has shown us. Getting people motivated to go vote, especially in the place where they assume the Republican is going to win. 30 years, a Republican has always won. 30 years, there's always been somebody Hispanic. And here's this white socialist woman who comes in and sells you a bill of goods. But if only, white thems go out and vote, what do you expect? This should be the cry to Republicans: get off your butt and go vote. And not just for top of the ticket. She has more control over the lives of the people in Miami than the president of the United States does. Americans have short attention spans. Don't y'all remember COVID? It wasn't the president who locked you up. It was your mayors. It was your local town councils that shut your businesses. So people have got to get their heads back in the game. And this has been a story as old as time in politics for Republicans. We do not like to vote in little tiny elections. I don't know why. It's just who we are.
All right. Well, I mean, Shelley, her campaign focused on affordable housing and characterized Republicans as hostile to immigrants, particularly Hispanics, who make up a sizable portion of Miami and Florida as a whole. However, a large part of these Hispanic population is Cubans who have traditionally voted Republican. So, I mean, what do you think is going on in this race? And do you think this signals something towards the midterms?
I don't think say that it can signal something towards the midterm. Okay, I'm not going to rule it out outright. But what I think is happening here, again, we just had Domney, whatever his name is, in New York, right? Just had him in New York. He was running on some similar themes. Cost of housing, transportation, things like that. What I think this is large cities or our most populous cities, blue cities. Nevertheless, I know Miami's in Florida. I get it, but I think this is something that Republicans, conservatives, whatever, libertarians for that matter, moderate people need to at least take into consideration. What are the main things that are causing people to vote? What are these politicians saying? And on what's getting the vote out? Like Nicole said, Republicans don't tend to come out on off years or things like that. But these are the issues that affect everyday Americans every day of their lives. Okay, not just on voting years or off years. They affect them day to day at the kitchen table, as we like to say. So these are the things that we need to be a little bit more objective about, I guess. We need to have a little bit more, I don't know the word, I guess sympathy, if you will, that's the right word, for what the issues are and how they are affecting Americans. I don't give a damn about the politicians themselves. I know they're going to run on whatever things, but I'm American first.
You know, what's true, Shelley, is that once Democrats find a winning formula, they stick to it, right? So Zam Dammit won on, some BS about everything being free. Here's this socialist down in Florida, in Miami, who's done the same thing. So we can expect to see Democrat after Democrat running on these themes because it sounds good to the American ear. Note that it's the same thing that you hear coming out of MS Now, used to be MSNBC, the same thing you hear coming out of CNN. It is what we call talking points. So my strong suggestion to the GOP, because we know they watch us, right? My strong suggestion to the GOP is this. No one is going to know you're doing such a great job unless you toot your own horn. I know it's not something that we do well, but we need to let communications get out and do their thing. There should be PSAs about how good the country's doing. The culture is changing. They did that with the Department of War. Do you remember, think back, a year ago, they couldn't recruit a kid to do a doggone thing for this country. Now they're beating them off with a stick. All of the branches of the military have maxed out their recruiting numbers for the year in just 1 year. And you know why? Because they're showing these great planes going up in the air and war fighters running, and they're in terrific shape. You got RFKJ doing pull-ups in the airport.
No,
it just energizes people. So we need to be doing that very same thing on the other culture issues that we're winning on, but we're only winning because people are in the know. We should make it very plain to the American public. These wins are not just for conservative people. These wins are for everybody.
Absolutely. We got a super chat here. We have Rough and Ready. Thank you for your $5 super chat. Your super sticker. And yeah, thank you, Rough and Ready, and thank you, Kung Fu CJ. Nicole, very quickly, I'm sorry, Kate, to your point, someone I can't remember who in the comments said we need to account for, liberals, I say leftists moving to different areas. We do need to account for that. And what we need to think about is that people are going to move. So when they move to an area from whatever, the snowbirds or whatever the case may be, then we have to factor in what are we putting in place, what's attracting them there, number one, and then who the people who are already there, what policies can we make sure are enacted to put them into law, whatever the case may be, the themes that we need to run on. So we can't allow them to come in and change it to the leftist politics. We need to get out and make sure that we are tooting our horns too, like you say. So we do have to factor that in.
Absolutely.
And that's a good point, because that's what they do. I literally know people that have recently moved to Florida. They are leftists, and they are taking their leftist policy mindset to Florida. And it's so infuriating. I mean, it's just like they complain about what was going on here in Maryland, and then they're going to try to change Florida.
Same thing. They did it in Virginia. A lot of people I know packed up their stuff after Maryland's fiasco and moved to Virginia. So they get to Virginia and they act just the same way they did here in Maryland. It is ridiculous to me because they don't see themselves and their policies as the problem. They just say, oh, it's because we didn't have this one thing. Exactly. The reason why it didn't work. It's kind of like socialists and communism. The only reason why it didn't work is because we didn't have this one thing. Or how about it's never worked in human history? So let's take the lesson here. But it's going to be interesting to see once this mayor in Miami does not deliver on free, will she get the same pass that Zam Damon is getting in New York City?
We will see.
What's going to happen then? Because them people in Miami ain't playing with her. I'm going to tell you right off, the Cubans don't have it to do. You promise something, you better deliver.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Folks, what do you think? Sound off in the chat. Let us know. Also, as you're watching, please, as you come in, hit that. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and we appreciate the support. We're still trying to hit 250,000 subscribers by the end of this year. We only can do it with your help. So please, it helps if you hit the like button as you come in. The more likes this broadcast gets, the more it's pushed out to the YouTube audience. Mm-hmm. So we talked about Florida. Now we're moving to Texas. All right. So good Lord, I pray that Texas and Florida stay red. I mean, my goodness, I'm gonna lose it if you guys don't hold the line in Texas and Florida. All right. But speaking of Texas, we have the Miss Dumpster Fire herself, Jasmine Crockett, has the audacity. I mean, really, I think the audacity. These people, their egos are so huge, to launch a Senate bid for the Texas Senate seat. And she launched it this week with just a pitiful campaign video. This is clip 2.
Let's get into it. Okay. She ain't never scared and she ain't never been. Always willing to go toe-to-toe against the president. I can't wrap my head around someone who votes Republican. She advocate for feeding kids. They protect folks touching them. Trump invading his own country with our army. What a joke. We remember Pearl Harbor by illegally bombing boats. But y'all thought we wasn't gonna do nothing but think again. They only trying to scare out of running because they think she'll win. Listen, thought I told y'all we ain't never scared. Now look who name on the docket. Got 2 words for every racist bigot. Jasmine Crockett. Y'all hear the words. Me, I hope my money goes to side that isn't trying to say affordability is a hope. She stand on business, Austin toes. Texas dope, don't need no more bad built, bleach, blonde, butch bodies moving forward.
How about this new one they have? Their new star, Crockett. How about her? She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. Crockett. Oh, man. Oh, man. She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
What a clown. If that didn't symbolize Jasmine Crockett, the man firstly who introduced her could not even rap. And then he was reading the words and he couldn't keep up with the track. Then he's got this, what was that? Like his hair was all speckled and
he had tiger stripes.
Yeah, this is a mess. Shelly, a mess.
That Milli Vanilli coon Negro. Okay, not only could he not rap, he looked a freaking mess. Looked like she just got him off the corner store where she buys her hair and her eyelashes. That's where she got him from. That's where he came from. This was a travesty, but you know what? We were just talking about the politics. I'm not going to discount and say she can't win. Now, I don't think she can. I hope she doesn't, but with people moving and all the different things we just said, it's very possible that this asinine and this ass, her rapper, I don't know which one is which, the asinine or the ass one, she could be a senator. Can you imagine this circus? Can you? I don't even want to think about it. But Milli Vanilli was put out years ago. I don't know where he came from.
Yeah, Nicole, what do you think of that campaign launch?
It was weird. I mean, for lack of a better term, it was very weird, but she's preaching to her choir. Her estimation is that she doesn't need Trump voters. She doesn't need white Texans. She doesn't need Hispanic Texans. All she needs are Black Texans to get her into the Senate seat. You know, the math is just not math, and she's going to have to convince other people to come along. Now, she'll probably get some awful people, and awful, I mean, you know, affluent white women who are incredibly socialist, leftist, if you will. She'll get a handful of those, and maybe the lesbian contingency, and maybe people who like guys who can't even rap 16 bars. Yeah, she'll pick a couple of them up. But generally speaking, it made her seem very unserious. I got what they were trying to do with Trump saying over and over and over again about her being low IQ, but it took her too long to turn to the camera. You know, kind of like somebody with a low IQ. So it really just did not hit the way that she thought it was going to hit. It just did not have that spark. She wanted something big like Wesley Hunt had with the Apache helicopters and him and Dan Crenshaw jumping off like war fighters. It did not hit that way, honey. I'm sorry. And she's going to have to, tone down the rhetoric, get very serious with policy. But again, you cannot count her out because the U.S. Senate has had crackpots before, a la Kamala Harris. People will vote for this particular type of person. This is going to take a really strong campaign from whatever Republican comes out of that primary. All three of the men that are in that primary can win, make no mistake, but they're not going to be able to sit down on their laurels and do it. They're going to have to fight for every single vote.
Well, I thought it was awful. I mean, to me, it looked like she doesn't have any money behind her. It looked like something that she created off a CapCut or Canva and put it out there. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And here we have her. We are the only ones who are checking her. Even CNN's Jake Tapper calls her out for calling Latinos who voted for President Trump previously slaves. Take a look. This is clip 3.
Let me ask you about a quote that you've made that has some Democrats worried about your ability to win statewide. In a December 2024 Vanity Fair profile, you talked about, quote, and I'm going to read a lot of the quote just to put it in the context, quote, all the complexities within the Latino community. The immigration thing has always been something that has perplexed me about this community. It's basically like, I fought to get here, but I left y'all where I left y'all, and I want no more y'all to come here. If I wanted to be with y'all, I would stay with y'all, but I don't want y'all coming to my new home. It almost reminds me of what people would talk about when they would talk about kind of like slave mentality and the hate that some slaves would have for themselves. It's almost like a slave mentality that they have. Now, about the time that was published last year, around 1 million Latino voters in Texas were voting for Trump. Do they all have slave mentality?
No, and that's not what that said at all, to be clear. It did not say that every Latino has that type of mentality.
No, but the ones that vote for people who believe in strong or Trump's immigration policies.
So I don't believe that the people that voted for Trump believe in what they're actually getting. That is number one. What Trump said is that he was going to kick out the bad guys. And that's what I was talking about. I've been down to the border. I've been down to South Texas. I've campaigned down there. And so I am talking about exactly what was going on when I was down there on behalf of the Beto campaign. In fact, when he was running for governor, I was sent as a surrogate. And I said, talk to me about what is going on. Why is it that they believe that they can win Latinos down here? Like, I don't understand what's happening. And there were people that were saying that they had fought and they had done everything the right way, and that there were bad people that were coming that were doing it the wrong way. And so they were saying, no, we left. And I mean, when you think about people that are leaving asylum, they are leaving areas and situations that they feel like are harmful to them. So yes, they're like, no, I don't want to be in this dangerous situation. And that's what I meant. But at the same time, I knew what Trump meant, because Trump had a record. Trump had a record of locking up kids and putting them in cages. So I knew what Trump meant. And so that's why it wasn't making sense to me.
What is she talking about? They still pushing that lie about kids in cages when it was under Obama.
She lost me at saying that there was asylum in their home countries. I mean, like, girl, what? I don't think she understands what those words mean. I think that she doesn't quite understand how immigration works. And of course, people who waited their turn, paid their money, jumped through all the fire hoops of USCIS, and they are fire hoops, make no mistake, did everything right, get very angry when people just come here and get more benefits than they were offered. When you spend $25,000 to $30,000 to come to this nation appropriately, and then you see somebody run across the border and then they get $6,000 worth of hotel room every month and all of that for free, and they're not following the law, of course you're unhappy with that. Of course you're unhappy with that. If she doesn't understand that, then you're right. The U.S. Senate is nowhere for her. It's a deliberative body, and Texas can do far better than that hot mess. But watch how articulate she gets. I would give it probably until maybe February, where we start seeing the Jasmine Crockett that showed up on that telephone call with nephew Tommy, the one that answered the phone with her proper grammar. Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Jasmine. How can I help you? That Jasmine show up, not the one flapping her eyelashes and pointing her finger. I think she's gone for a long time.
She's a fake, phony, and it's phony. I mean, she's literally not just in her words and her deeds, but she's literally a fake, phony person from the top of her head to the feet, from her hair, her lashes, her face. The whole thing is fake. I don't understand how people are going to vote for her, but I've seen crazier things. Shelley, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, look, run, Jasmine, run all across Texas. And I hope the people of Texas, I believe in you. You know, Texas, don't mess with Texas. You will squash her, which she needs to do. Squash the eyelashes, make them flat, make them loose like I wear mine sometimes when they hang off, you know, one on the other. So do all of that. But she needs to be squashed. But let's see what our super chatters say. We have TD. Thank you for your $2 super chat. He says Jasmine is crooked, right? Like her words and her wig. Absolutely. Kung Fu CJ again. Thank you, Kung Fu, for your $5 super chat and for being a member of our Freedom Seekers Club. And he says the saying is, what do you do when you run out of other people's money? Yeah, that's it. And that's what she's going to do. Also, Kung Fu, for your $2 super chat, he says she will have to do coalition building, look, Jasmine Crockett. I said it, I don't know, a year or so ago, that she was going to be a pivotal person in the Democratic Party. Again, I don't want to discount what could happen, but I will pray, Texas, you need to squash her. There's no way in hell she should be a senator in any state in America, certainly not the great state of Texas.
Listen, Shelley's got it right. Can we get the t-shirts again? Listen, if you're in Texas or a neighboring state, come and get you some of this stuff and show up at one of her rallies and let her know what you're working with, right? Especially that Maryland man one, because she's not going to understand. And if one of her staffers asks you, you can explain it, because they've shown us all that they're not the sharpest knives in the drawer, right? A la Jeffrey Epstein, not actually Jeffrey Epstein. So this is going to be great. Get yourself an unapologetically American t-shirt, show up, because she won't understand what those words mean. And then ask her tough questions. Ask her questions about world issues, international policy, defense, things she has no idea about, and watch her flounder. What they'll say is, I'm going to get right back to you. I'll have my press people get right back to you. And make sure you record it. We'd be happy to play it for you here on the show. Every time she gasps, we'd be happy to have the Jasmine Crockett minute so we can all have some good laughs. Get your shirts now, because, again, I don't know if you can get it by Christmas now. I'm just going to say. I don't know if it's going to make it by Christmas. You might be able to give it as a New Year's gift. I don't know if it'll make it by Christmas, but buy them now and wear them and taunt her. I'd like that.
Yeah, I agree. It boils it grinds my gears, I should say, when we have these politicians, particularly Democrats, that just won't follow the law. They will not enforce the law. She said in that interview, talking about, well, when Trump came out, he said he was going to get rid of the criminal illegals. They're illegal. They're not supposed to be here. It's not about criminal versus non-criminal. If they're here and they're here illegally, they have to go. I don't understand why they get away with saying things like that. This is bad for all of us, for Americans, particularly Black folks, okay? Because a lot of times these illegals go to areas that are populated by Black people, and they take over, particularly in the education system, in the schools, where you have them going into the schools. They're overrunning the schools. They can't speak English. Then they're taking away resources and time and energy from the teachers, who are already generally overstressed. But now they got to worry about trying to explain these instructions and things to these non-English speaking people. It's ridiculous.
It's worse than ridiculous. It inhibits the way that American kids learn, because instead of keeping pace with curriculum, instead of doing all the things that they need to do to keep in pace with China, what we're doing is we're regressing the students to say, wait, Jose doesn't speak any English, and the little Somali kid doesn't speak any English. So they have all of these other concerns rather than sticking on coursework. And you go ahead and add on their own personal politics, and it's a wonder that these kids can do any kind of math or conjugate any verbs at all. We have really done our children a disservice by taking our eye off the ball as far as this education system is concerned. I knew we were in trouble when they started putting little kids in trailers to learn. That was an issue.
Absolutely. And then let's talk about the assimilation. We have people from all of these different cultures coming in, and they are not assimilating, and they don't want to assimilate. They have a totally different motivation coming here than immigrants from the past. Okay. And this is the next question. There's a viral video going around right now of an Indian American going off. She is going off about how not all cultures are equal. And I want to play this and then ask you all, do you agree or disagree with that notion? This is clip 9.
Not all cultures are equal. There, I said it. Guess what? All people are created equal under the eyes of God and the law, but not all cultures are equal. This is a simple fact, and I don't understand why it is now a cardinal sin, according to the left and some on the right, to say this out loud, but it is a fact. You still have cultures today that embrace things like slavery, underage marriage, polygamy, human sacrifice, and you're telling me that all cultures are equal and we need to allow them to come into the United States and we just need to embrace them? No, just no. And not all immigration is good. Even legal immigration can be bad. And I get that we have this toxic empathy here in the United States where we think that we just need to allow the entire world to flood our borders and invade our country. However, this is how you cause societal collapse. Assimilation to our culture should be a bare minimum requirement of anybody that is allowed to come into the country. Bare minimum. But when you allow people to move here en masse, as we have, especially from places like the third world, you don't even incentivize, you don't even allow the opportunity for assimilation, because these people come here in their own communities, they stay together and just take over American cities. This is what I call civilizational suicide, because that's quite literally what we've been doing to ourselves. We're allowing our culture and our norms to be completely eroded. These people are coming here, they're not assimilating, and then they're outbreeding us in our own country. And then on top of that, they're committing violent crimes against American citizens and killing us.
All right. Wow. So some people have taken grave offense to what she said. She's gotten hate mail. She's gotten pushback. Shelley, what do you think? Was she wrong to say it?
Where was she wrong? Where was she lying? This has been proven. Look at Germany. Look at the United Kingdom. When they have allowed more immigrants to come and the culture starts to change. Germany, thankfully, I think they've been waking up in the last couple of years, but their society has been overly burdened with immigration or illegal immigrants or even legal immigrants to their country. Look, in the United States, we have allowed thanks again to our Congress over decades, we have allowed these loose and lax policies to keep our borders open, damn near open, if not virtual, if not really open, and other ways that people come here illegally and maybe even to a degree, like this lady's talking about, legally. Enough is enough. When people come here, particularly, I've said it before and I'll say it again, from third world or underdeveloped countries, many of them, maybe not most, but I'll say many of them are not coming with the plan to become Americans, to be assimilated into our culture. What they want, largely from the Muslim Islamic countries, they want Sharia law. Now, they're more patient. They're more patient than we think they are, because they'll just wait and they'll wait, and little by little, incrementally by incrementally, they'll keep turning the temperature up to the point where we have Dearborn, Michigan, and we have places in New York and Texas and other states where you have calls, all the goddamn noise at 5 o'clock in the morning, and they call them prayer calls. I call it noise. Waking people up, hardworking Americans who are coming or going to work, trying to go to school, and you got these calls all day long, doing what? Calling whomever they call. Go pray in your temples, your mosque, pray to whatever God you want. But this is America. Americans first. Okay, we are first. This is our country. You're coming here. Lock the doors, pull the gates or whatever, the fencing on the borders, and get them out. This lady is not lying.
Yeah, Nicole, I mean, do you agree that not all cultures are equal?
Of course. I'm an American. So it's an easy question for us, right? That many cultures struggle, right? And for lack of a better term, everybody wants to be here. Everybody wants to be here. Life is much easier here. You hit the light switch, the power comes on. You hit the light switch at midnight, power comes on. 3 a.m., we still got power. There are some nations you can hit the switch all you want to, you're going to be sitting in the dark. I mean, when you talk about developing nations, and some nations that are much older than us that have not come quite as far as we have, I could see why people want to get here. I don't think she was wrong. I agree with Shelley. She was 100% right. And most of the backlash that I saw for her online was because of her own dissent. And people were saying, your family came from India. So where do you get off saying now, since you and your family are here, nobody else gets to come? Well, did she sound like somebody who wasn't working hard to assimilate here in the United States? So she sounds like maybe she's third or fourth generation at this point, right? Mm-hmm. But those first couple of generations did something probably tremendous. They assimilated. They worked. They took on the cause of this great nation. And that's what we want from all legal migrants. I agree with Shelley. We should lock the country up. We've got too many folk. Let's get out the people that got to go. And the people that we allow to stay have to assimilate. They have to. We can't continue to live as a disjointed nation. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You see people who have blue state mentalities and blue state mores and culture moving to red states because it's easier to live in red states. Then you see the red state people getting mad because the blue state people are coming. We can't live like this, folks. We have got to get back to being good Americans across the board. And the way we do that is stop all immigration, get the bad guys out. No more chain migration, none of this foolishness. We need some time out, maybe 40 years or so will get us back to right the ship for America.
Yeah. Well, I hear you both, but my question is this the Christian thing to do? And I'll answer it for you. Yes. Yes, it is. It is, because the Bible clearly shows God judged cultures and nations differently. Okay. And so this is where I come from, because I'm looking at this, I'm like, is this the biblical thing to do? Yes, it is. Nations like Nineveh, Babylon, Sodom, and Gomorrah were judged for their wicked cultural practices. They were cultural practices that they were judged for. Okay. And so if all cultures are equal, God would not bless some and destroy others. So you got these Christians out here who said, that's not the Christian thing to do. You gotta take in everybody. And no, it's not. A culture aligned with God's commands is superior to one built on rebellion. Not only that, but to me, and some people don't like when you say this, not all religions are equal. I'll say that,
Say it, AJ.
So, again, we gotta start living and saying the hard stuff out loud. We really do. And so I think that's an issue. And then number two, the issue is we have a lot of Americans here who hate America, who hate everything America stands for. And that's an issue, because if you're bringing in these immigrants, whether legal or illegal, okay, and they're coming to a place where national pride is not here, where you have, people saying they hate their culture, they hate their president, they hate everything that this country has and does stand for. Well, what do you think these people are going to come and do? They're going to try to change it. They're going to try to make it look like where they came from. And so this is why nationalism and patriotism are very important. They're very important.
Agreed.
And not only that, you got some people out here who take it down to the actual skin color and hate being the color that God birthed them to be. God made them. They hate that. That takes us to this next clip. This is a Kentucky state rep. I couldn't believe this was coming out of Kentucky. Representative Sarah Stalker, she's a Democrat, and she says she doesn't feel good about being white. Take a look here. This is clip 11.
I'm going to be honest. I don't feel good about being white every day for a lot of reasons, because it's a point of privilege that I get to move through the world in a way that so many of my other colleagues and friends and family members of the community don't get the privilege to do. And I'm just a female, but just a woman, just a white woman. If I was a white man, I would be functioning from a point of an even greater privilege. I think we're missing an opportunity when kids have a moment to reflect about how the color of their skin does and does not allow them to move through the world. Running to them and trying to stifle that and trying to say you shouldn't feel bad, so we don't want to ever expose you to something that is going to make you have to pause and have maybe some internal feelings. It's a missed opportunity for some really good dialogue.
Wow. Let me make sure you all understand what she's saying. And she's advocating for that type of conversation to be had with children. She is sitting there and I'm a black woman, so this is something coming from a black woman, okay? She is telling you and your white children that it's bad to be white. I mean, that is weird. That is weird. Shelley, what are your thoughts?
What she's doing is she's trying to sound humble and regretful to make it sound so that it won't seem like she's acting from her quote unquote privilege. Okay. I got two words for her. If she were a teacher telling one of my students or my children, I would say, bitch, please. And then I probably would be put out of the school. Okay. Which is fine. First of all, where did you get this notion that these people have, I don't know what you call, absorbed this idea that they really do have a privilege over black and brown people? No, you don't. No, you don't. I don't give a damn. You have no privilege over me or millions or many of the people that I know. Maybe some of them think you do, but none of us live off of that. You don't drive. We don't drive and get our energy from your false humility, your facade, this poor piss, not even real privilege that you claim to have. And no, you should not be teaching children this, okay? Your skin color, just like mine, is nothing of my own doing, okay? And if I had my choice, I would choose my skin color. Yes, I would. I would still choose the same damn skin color, but I didn't have the choice. You don't have the choice. I think God knew what he was doing when he made us all different shades. But thank you, God, not this doofus here who wants to parade this false humility like she should be reverenced and applauded. Take that bullshit somewhere else. Y'all got me cussing out and cursing about 5 times a night. I'm supposed to be stopping, but I can't. These people get on my nerves. Before you answer Nicole Cajun, let me read this super chat. Maybe it'll distract me a little bit from cursing. We have at the Raw Truth 1673. Thank you for your $50 super chat.
Thank you.
Deport them all. Deport them. I've said before, round them up, get some lassos, and let's get them out. Round them up. Thank you, Kung Fu CJ, for your $2 super chat. He says, get them, KJ, turn over the tables. Exactly. That's right. That's right. Let me see. We have another super chat here, I think, from Kung Fu CJ. For your $2 super chat again, thank you, Kung Fu. Let me give you your Kung Fu moves. He says, Shelly has been on fire since 8 p.m. They get on my nerves. They get on my nerves, Kung Fu. They get on my nerves. Thank you all. Thank you all for your super chats.
So Nicole, I want to ask you, I mean, how when white people, and mostly leftists, it's always leftists, say these types of things. I don't like being white. I have so much privilege. I can't believe I'm white. I don't even eat white biscuits. I don't want white gum. How does it make you feel? Does this make you feel good? I mean, as a non-white person, as a Black woman?
You know, I can't hear her crying from all the things that I do with my Black life. I mean, I don't mess with the help. I'm just going to tell you, go ahead and check the bougie box for Nicole Bennett. Check it twice, underline, maybe some italics next to it. But while she's in the Commonwealth trying to find her Blackness, honey, I've been everywhere doing everything. Her soft bigotry of low expectations does not impact my excellence. My skin tone doesn't make me more or less excellent. The content of your character is what drives your life. Unfortunately, for her, she truly believes without her consent, without her lowering herself, other people can't rise. That is bigotry of the highest order. And you see this all the time with what I like to call the white apologist female, right? That, oh my gosh, how did you ever make it through this life with your brown skin? I'm so ashamed of being white. Girl, bye. Wait. It's something else when you think that I can't because of my skin color. And then you want me to think that you can because of your skin color. It is so disgusting to teach this to children. Black children are not oppressed. There's not one thing in this world that dear woman from the Commonwealth can do that I cannot. I dare say I've done things that she hasn't yet dreamed of, right? Here's the thing that makes it worse. Other white women are listening to this Yahoo going, you know what, no, maybe she's right. Maybe, you know, I need to just feel really guilty for being white so Black people have space to feel special. We don't need your space. And for God's sake, stop helping us. We don't need that kind of help. We don't need you to falsely inflate us by diminishing yourself. How come we just can't all be who we are and let the best woman win? Whether you're brown, pink, polka dot, stripes, diamond colored, makes no difference. Get out here and do the best you can in this world. This is not 1910. This is not 1930. This is 2025. And if you're making decisions based on your skin color, you're doing it wrong. You're absolutely doing it wrong.
Absolutely. All right, folks, as you come in, hit that like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and subscribe. We need your help. Help little old Black girls. Why don't you give a little old Black girl some help? We need to hit 250,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We can only do it with your help. So please hit that like button. That gets this video out in front of a wider audience, and subscribe. All right. So we kind of veered away a little bit off of the midterms and talking about how, you know, is the GOP, you know, how are we doing in these elections? We were talking about Jasmine Crockett's Texas Senate campaign launch. And, you know, she was talking about illegals and things like that. And that's how we kind of start talking about the people coming into the country. So I want to get back on the midterm elections. So we've had some infighting within the GOP recently. And so that's what we want to talk about next. Will this infighting affect the midterm elections? And for that matter, of the elections in 2028? Has it already done it? So that takes us to Marjorie Taylor Green. All right. So she, of course, has been all over anybody who will listen. Okay. Next, we probably will hear her apologizing for being white. She actually is now calling herself a bleach blonde built butch body. She's actually calling herself that now. Okay. So this is how low she's fallen. I'm joking about that. But she was on CNN and she is slamming President Trump once again. This is clip 4.
To be precise. In addition to what we just heard there, President Trump posted yesterday that you are, quote, and I'm quoting him now, not America first or MAGA, and your, quote, new views are those of a very dumb person. That's the President of the United States speaking about you. What's your response to these latest attacks?
Well, actually, Wolf, I feel very sorry for President Trump. I genuinely do. It has to be a hard place for someone that is constantly so hateful and puts so much vitriol, name calling, and really tells lies about people in order to try to get his way or win some kind of fight. And I think that's exactly what's wrong in America today. That's what's wrong in this toxic political environment that has ripped our country apart. And I personally think that that's poor leadership from a president. It's a very bad demeanor, and Americans are very tired of it.
And I don't care about your midterms, okay? I don't care about your next year midterms and whether or not the Republican Party is united, okay?
All right. So those were two Republicans, or former Republican, with Candace Owens. Basically, she's another one who, has been on a warpath against President Trump, his agenda. She doesn't care about the midterms, as you heard her literally say. We got a lot of infighting going on right now on the right. And here they are. This is image 2 of Tucker Carlson. He's been another one. So this is Tucker Carlson's Christmas party recently. So he had them all there. Marjorie Taylor Green, Candace Owens. We got image 1. I believe there he is. Marjorie Taylor Green skinning and grinning, as I call it. And so, I mean, what does this mean on we need to go into these elections united. At least that's what I think, but it doesn't sound like it. Nicole, what are your thoughts here?
Listen, there's so much behind the scenes stuff that happens in Washington, D.C. That kind of explains some of the things that we see on the mainstream media. I was fortunate enough to be in town, downtown as we call it, D.C., on Saturday for a White House tour. And, usually people make a day of it to travel down, maybe go to a nice restaurant and have a glass of wine before you go. And rumor has it that Marjorie Taylor Green had been hanging out instead of voting and showing up for work, that she had been hanging out at particular eateries in Washington, D.C. And lo and behold, someone I know really well, saw her and asked her what the problem was. She feels left out. So, but with all of that said, the party is moving away from a certain type of politics. And if you think there's fighting on the Republican side, you have no idea what's happening on the Democrat side. It's absolutely called the Democrat Fight Club. They are pulling each other's hair out because Chuck Schumer, who should be their leader, has been reduced to nothing but ashes. AOC, who spent all of last year campaigning for a seat that she didn't even run for, has been overtaken by Zamdammit and eyelashes. Let me tell you, that party is in disarray. Their hair is on fire. For us, for Republicans, for conservative people, two things. Number one, stop trying to co-opt people who are telling you they don't believe in the movement. Tucker Carlson, 1 vote. Candace Owens, 1 vote. Marjorie Taylor Green, 1 vote. Why would we throw a whole movement away for 3 votes? We won't. Let them fade into the sunset. Let Marjorie Taylor Green start her show on Tucker Carlson's network. Hold on your hat for that one coming, right? Let Candace continue to have the top-rated podcast in the world by selling conspiracy theories and half-truths in random text messages from random people. Let them have that. We have serious work to do to save a nation. This is what we should focus on. Truth be told, Marjorie Taylor Green hasn't been relevant in a very long time. I wouldn't let her run for Senate either. I wouldn't let her run for governor either. If I was President Trump, I wouldn't endorse her for either one of those things. She's not serious. She was entertaining, but not serious. We've got work to do, folks. Focus in. Let these other naysayers go on and do their business. We'll let those 3 votes go. We can replace them with someone else.
All right. Yeah, Shelley, I agree. I agree with Nicole, but it's a little more than 3 votes, I think, because we're not just talking about these 3 people. We're talking about the influence of these 3 people. And my inbox, I get messages from all kinds of people. I got messages. I was just talking to 3 people last week that were out there campaigning for President Trump during 2016, and both times they were campaigning for President Trump. They were on the MAGA train. Now they're talking about MAGA's dead. I'm done with it. They believe Candace Owens and all of her ilk and things. So are we going, does that matter? That's what I'm asking. Do you think that's going to have an impact on these midterms, on these the next upcoming elections?
Okay, so let me say it this way. I voted for President Trump 3 times. Again, no regrets, number 1. Number 2, if the conservative Republican Party or the conservative movement relies on the Candace Owens and the Tucker Carlsons, if you will, or Marjorie Taylor Greens for that matter, if that is who we are basing our vote, our policies on, then you know what? Maybe we should lose. Maybe we should lose. If that's because that means that we don't have a message that can stand on its own and be useful and practical for the American people. If that's what we're basing on, if we're only basing it on social media influence, look, I know social media is huge. Again, we talked about this last week, Nicole and I. It has pros and it has cons, right? I get that. But guess what? There were issues and policies way before social media was around to this degree that still needed to be addressed and that could be addressed. This is what we need to do. If we're not standing on, as we want to call it, firm foundations, if you will, then we should lose. I mean, that's just it. If we're only relying on the social influencers, do they have a part to play? Absolutely. Whatever they're going to do. But our principles need to be bigger than just the social influencers. And so that's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I 100% agree with you there. But speaking of social influencers, one of these so-called social influencers, or I would say grassroots organizations, is TPUSA. And President Trump literally came out and said that he owed a big part of his win to TPUSA and the late Charlie Kirk. But Candace Owens and others have been dragging them ever since his assassination. Finally, now, Erika Kirk has spoken out against it. In a recent couple, actually, she's done a couple of interviews recently speaking out against the conspiracy theories against TPUSA, her team, and herself. Here she is. Take a look. This is clip 10.
But I will tell you what they are doing. It reminds me so much of chapter 6 in the book of Nehemiah. He is building a wall, and the townspeople are at the base of that hill saying, Nehemiah, calling him all these names, saying all these things, come on down. Every single time he had the same message 4 times in a row. I cannot come down. I am busy building. That is how I feel. I do not have time to address the noise. My silence does not mean that I am complacent. My silence does not mean that somehow Turning Point USA and all of the handpicked staff that loved my husband and my husband loved them is somehow in on it. We are busy building. And you know what I thought? I thought these people are human. We are all grieving in our own way. and they are trying to find the answer to something that happened that was so evil. They are trying so hard, and I get that. We're doing the same. Anytime we hear a lead or anytime we hear anything, we send it to the authorities. Please dig into this. No rock will be unturned. I want justice for my husband, for myself, for my family, more than anyone else out there. So for me, you want to keep telling me to come down while we're building? I don't have time for that. But here's my breaking point on that. Come after me, call me names, I don't care. Call me what you want, go down that rabbit hole, whatever. But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this, no.
You know, I have to say it. I've never seen you like this.
No, this is righteous anger because this is not okay. It's not healthy. This is a mind virus. Yes, I believe in our judicial system. I do. We have a hell of a team working on this. Excuse my French. But this is not okay.
So you want...
All right. All right. She let it out. Before we respond, you know who has already responded. Candace Owens she did a whole show on this today. Take a look here. This is clip, let me see, 1 second. Clip 15. I want to do clip 15 first.
That is sacred to our family, to my in-laws, to my babies, and to my parents. One thing.
Okay, so on its face, I actually agree with that. I think that when people are being buried and where they're being buried and how their funerals are done, that is very private matter. Okay, so objectively, I agree with what she's saying. Okay, but subjectively, because we are dealing with the subject of Erika Kirk and what transpired immediately following Charlie's assassination, this is going to be read as Meghan Markle syndrome. Okay, Meghan Markle syndrome, where you want privacy when you want it, but you want publicity whenever you want it. And that just doesn't work. Okay. It doesn't work that way. I honestly think it was said best by Bethany Frankel, not related to this situation. Bethany Frankel is on Real Housewives, a reality show. And she was referring to one of the housewives who lived her life very publicly, showcased her marriage, was buying tons of Louis Vuitton bags, and they had tons of money. And then when their relationship soured, the housewife basically asked the public for privacy. And Bethany was like, no, this isn't how it works. Like, we were riding with you on the way up. We're riding with you on the way out. You don't get to like pick and choose when you want privacy and when you don't want privacy. And subjectively, as it, you know, in the matter of Erika Kirk, this is the same person who had somebody record her over Charlie Kirk's casket. That was not our business, truly. And I can say that decision was made by her. And there is, some credence to the claim that everybody grieves differently. I wouldn't even record myself over a casket ever, okay? Some people maybe perhaps want to have that memory. But the decision to publish that, you crying over your husband's casket, and to publish his dead body on Instagram was a decision that was made by Erika. And we can watch that.
Every time I see and hear Candace Owens, I get instantly hot. This woman is the nastiest bitch that I have ever seen. She is so wicked. She is so wicked. Who does she think she is? Who does she think she is? First of all, Erika didn't ask for privacy per se. She said, stop lying on her and her staff. That's what she's asking for. Stop lying. I want to get your thoughts on this, Nicole, because you're a widow. I mean, who is Candace to tell a widow how to move and grieve and go about life after she just lost her husband?
Do you know what's interesting is When we first started talking about this, and I said then that they needed to correct her behavior, not Erika per se, because she's grieving, she's in that moment, but the people that surround Erika should have checked Candace then, and we wouldn't be here. Last show, maybe show before last, when we talked about Turning Point USA having their all-out show, and they invited Candace to come on, and we'll sit down and we'll hash it out. And I said then that these very devoutly Christian people are not prepared for the level of evil fucking ignorance that Candace and all them demons from hell that she's bringing with her. They're not ready for that. And even now, Erika's saying, hell, excuse my French, she's not ready to battle with the level of demon that Candace is showing. At some point, someone at TPUSa really needs to maybe call Shelley, offer Shelley a one-day contract so she could go on Charlie Kirk's show and cuss Candace from one side, flip her over the back, slide down, and threaten this woman, say one more word. That's what it should have happened in the beginning, and we wouldn't be here. But here we sit. And Erika's right. She has this righteous indignation, and she owns it. She's allowed to do that. But because they ceded to Candace the narrative early in the beginning, it's going to be hard for them to get it back. Good news is people saw what you saw. We all saw it and said this is absolutely disgusting. Even people who ride out with the conspiracy theories said this is probably a little too much beyond the pale. So what can we look forward to? More of Candace making more money trying to own a narrative. What happened to I'll meet you anytime, any place? Fell through the cracks. Oh, well, I'm busy that day. And we got to go get my toes done. I'm going to Tucker Carlson's house. Can't come that day. She's been gaming them. She's been breadcrumbing them, gaslighting them the whole time. And here we are. We're at the breaking point. Erika finally lashes out. And God bless her. She's a very angry person who's devoutly Christian, but it's not strong enough to fight off that demon. It is not. They need somebody who has a command of the language that Erika does not possess, someone who is not grieving, to chin check this heifer, because that's all it's going to take. She's done too much. It's too late to try to backpedal. There's no getting Candace, putting the genie back in the bottle. She's making boatloads of money talking shit about Erika, and she knows that Erika's not going to come after her the way that she really needs to. It's a win for Candace. I hate to say it.
Yeah, I agree. You just took the words out of my mouth. I was thinking about this earlier. Yeah, Erika is too nice. She is too nice. She reminds me of one of those, like one of the girls I grew up with, always in church, nice Christian girl, nothing wrong with that. Right. But she would not get in the dirt with people. And it's nothing wrong with that, but, I'm the type of person where I can get dirty with you. I would get dirty with you. I am so enraged by this. I am. Shelley, what are your thoughts?
So I think what you're trying to say is what Tony Evans has said, that there are a lot of Christians who are so heavenly minded, they're no earthly good. Tony Evans has said that. So I'm just saying, that's what it sounds like you're saying. Now, let me say this. I've said from the beginning, I'm going to go a little bit further. Beginning when Candace Owens, the time for me when I stopped, I guess you want to call it, or didn't even start really, I said Candace is too mean, whatever, when she went after Kim Klacik. I've been saying that for years. That was number one. So I've never really been a Candace quote unquote follower or whatever, an acolyte. I have said over time, different times, that there are some things she said I agree with, not necessarily in this TPUSa or Charlie Kirk's assassination, but over time I've said that. What I've been saying about this since Charlie Kirk was assassinated was that, number one, Candace is not going to stop. I've said that several times. She's not going to stop. She's going to keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. I've also said that some of the things, not a lot, but some things she's pointed out, there were some oddities. I just said they were odd. Overall, I have said from the beginning that she was mean, maybe jealous. What she was doing was hurtful. It was causing more pain, more grief. She's not going to stop. That is the thing. Erika Kirk for all of her niceties or whatever, yes, she's a grieving widow. Let me say this, and I mean, you may be upset with me, but I'm going to say this to give a little balance to what I'm saying. When Erika Kirk was, I guess, nominated to be CEO, I said I did not want her to be CEO. I wanted her to take time to grieve, to be with her family, to really, I guess, digest all this magnitude of an event that has happened to her. Now that she's in the CEO role, this is the aspect, or this is the angle that Candace is going to use, because now she is, quote unquote, in a public sphere as a CEO or chairman of a huge company. And not only that, like you just said a few minutes ago, TPUSA has a huge political impact. So these are going to be the angles with which Candace is going to, quote unquote, go after.
What angle is that, though? Because the angle that Candace Owens is claiming to take is that she's fighting for Charlie Kirk. Now, before she said she didn't have an issue with Erika Kirk. She said if Erika asked her to stop, she would stop. Okay. And she sort of tiptoed around Erika Kirk, but she never really blatantly said Erika Kirk was. She's saying TPUSA she's implying that they are involved with Charlie Kirk's assassination. Yep. Okay. Yep. Erika Kirk, his wife, his widow, is taking up for all the people. So obviously they are not involved. So what is she doing? She's not. So she's actually saying that Erika Kirk is involved now too, because you have Erika Kirk is taking up for the people that Candace is blaming.
I hear you. Ultimately, the line of thinking, you're right. I guess the logical conclusions, I get that. You're right. But what I'm saying is that, again, because TPUSA is a political entity, if you will, and now that Erika, she is a grieving widow, but she's also in a CEO chairman position, which is a public face of a political organization. Candace is not going to stop. Like her, love her, hate her, not call her all the names you want. She is not going to stop. Agree with her, disagree with her, whoever, whatever side you fall on. I'm saying I have begun stepping back and looking at this, or at least trying to look at this, not just from a Candace at Erika, whose side you on. I've been trying to look at it a little bit bigger. I'm still working through that. Again, this is to what Nicole said. This is partly because TPUSA has not come out maybe soon enough or didn't do XYZ, but here we are. And Candace is not going to stop. And this is bigger, at least in what I'm thinking or seeing now. This is bigger than just Candace and going after Erika or Erika being nice.
Of course it is. She wants to take down TPUSA.
Well, not only TPUSA. This is Candace swinging at conservatives, period. Oh, yeah. So the beauty of TPUSA versus other very large conservative organizations that did very similar things is that TPUSA got very new voters, college students, and gave them the space to be conservative, where being conservative was cool. Believing in God and doing godly things was cool. But here's what we know. Candace is given, if we look at it solely person to person, she's given a little bit of jealous energy here. Oh, yeah. She's given a little bit of Erika's not fit kind of energy. But we all know that God gives people different spirits, right? Some people have warrior spirits. Some people will pull out that mighty sword of God and chop you in little tiny pieces and send you back so he can make the corrections, right? Then there are other people who will pray for you, people who are good at nurturing, and Erika is not the warrior spirit. Many people at TPUSA are not the warrior spirit. The warrior spirit died. He was assassinated, right? So here are all of these very kind and very nice people. And I'm not saying that as a Christian person myself. There are lots of other Christian people in my life who are like Erika, who I need to nurture me. When the battle gets tough and I'm coming back all bloodied and tired, and they're like, oh, let me love you up. There's space for all of us in God's kingdom. What I'm saying is TPUSA should have found them a warrior early on and sliced them all up so she wouldn't have to go through this. Alas, here we are. What can she do now? TPUSA and the MAGA movement and the Trump administration are in lockstep on many things. What we can't do is stop and handle this little business because we've got a whole world to run, right? In the meantime, TPUSA needs to continue doing what it's doing. Erika needs to push Charlie's book. It's already sold out all over the place. It's hard to get a copy. You can't even get one on Audible, right? I'm waiting for Heritage to have her come so we can go see her at Heritage and get our book, right? All of that, so many moving parts. Candace is sticking her finger in that joint and slowing down the progress of all of those movements. All of those movements. I know you guys talk about, her and Tucker have so many millions of followers, blah, 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 blah. Listen, a lot of people follow a lot of things for a lot of different reasons. Here's what I want you to hear me say. If this election that we just had was held today, even with Candace doing her thing and even with Tucker doing his thing, if you sit down with those conservative people who watch those podcasts and say Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, they're picking Trump every damn day. Every damn day. All 10 million of them. Picking Trump every day. We have got to stop allowing Candace to dictate the narrative because that's what she's good at. And as soon as she runs out of one thing, she jumps onto something that's hot. This is what she does. She's like the kid that's always crying when nothing happened to her. Oh my God, my ankle, my knee. She's attention seeking, and we've got to get out of paying attention to her every time she squeaks. It's a bad look.
Here's Erika again. She was with Barry Weiss. She had an interview with Barry Weiss that has not fully come out. They've been putting out pieces by pieces. This is heartbreaking. This is clip 13. Take a look.
Erika, one of the most alarming things about Charlie's murder was the way that some people in this country reacted to it.
Yeah.
And not just online. This was an idea that you encountered a lot. And the idea was this. They kind of justified it. They basically said that because Charlie said or believed things that they believed were controversial or even hateful, that he somehow had it coming. What do you say to people who justified his death?
You're sick. He's a human being. You think he deserved that? Tell that to my 3-year-old daughter. Excuse me. You want to watch and high res the video of my husband being murdered and laugh and say he deserves it? There's something very sick in your soul, and I pray that God saves you. I pray, because that is what is so wrong. The internet in this world has dehumanized us.
Yeah. Can I say this?
Right.
Yeah. Let me say this. Of course, my heart still breaks for this woman. Hear me out. I am not criticizing Erika, but what has happened now is that now she has to kind of choose between grieving and being the CEO, the front face, and taking the flack for it. I'm not saying that. Listen,
we don't know what position that they are in. Okay,
I'm not saying that. You're not.
Maybe they had no choice but to put her in that position.
You're not understanding what I'm saying. You're not understanding what I'm saying. Because she's there, now she's going to have to take the flack as a CEO and not just grieve. I'm not saying, I don't know what reason why. I'm just saying this is the position. And a CEO had, in Erika's, to Erika's credit, if you will, she responded like a grieving widow, right? The CEO in me, I would have said, fuck you. You can't reason with people who think like that, who thinks it's funny or okay that your husband, you saw a man executed, assassinated on live TV. You can't reason with people like that. You can ask them, do you not have a soul or whatever? It doesn't matter to people like that. They don't have one. So the words for them would have been, fuck you. That's it. And you walk away or whatever. I know Barry asked her that question and her heart is breaking as a husband, as a wife, as a mom. I get that. But that was the widow part. The CEO or the opposite that you can't reason with people like that. You cannot.
I don't think that was that's not a difference between a CEO and a grieving widow. That's the difference between, like I said, she is not built that way. Like you, fuck you. No, she's not. She's a Christian woman. Okay, she's a traditional Christian mother, woman, widow, and she's not built to say that. It's not about a CEO versus a grieving widow. She's a religious, traditional woman, and she's not just going to say that. She's just not. You know,
but
you go ahead, Nicole.
Here's the thing. She's a nurturer, because there are plenty of Christian women that would chop them up and wear that CEO crown like it ain't nothing. Many, many, many of us who get out here every day, bring home the bacon and fry it up in the pan and thank God for his provision. We can do both, but not all people are built that way. So Shelley, I understand what you're saying, that she's never going to see TPUSA strictly from a business perspective, because again, a lot of these, when you start an organization like that, it's kind of like your baby. Do you know what I mean? So she sees it from a loving, nurturing point of view. This is why I keep saying, I really wish there was somebody at TPUSA with a fighting spirit who can jump in front. Now, she could be the CEO, but just because she's the CEO doesn't mean she has to be the public face of this company. That other person can step up. They've had, Megyn Kelly and all these other people who've hosted Charlie's podcast. But most recently, they've started having other execs from TPUSA come on and host the podcast. And they're just as soft as she is. They're a bunch of nurturers. Make no mistake. And I'm not saying that from an ugly place. I wish my spirit was much more nurturing. I really do. This is what I pray for. God, let me be more of a nurturer and put this sword down sometimes. The sword gets heavy. However, it's not my lot in life. And I'm embracing the inner warrior. They just don't have that. This is
the upsetting thing. This is what upsets me, because you have someone like Candace Owens who is out TPUSA. Come on. I mean, anybody with eyes and ears can see these people don't have a negative bone in their body. Like you mentioned, they're soft-spoken people. They just want to, get conservatives out to vote. And she's out here just hurling these horrible accusations. We probably don't even know the full weight of what they have experienced. We have no idea of what her legion of demon possessed people have hurled. I mean, my goodness, what's his name started sounding off on it? Tim Pool, and he got his house shot up. These are the types of people we're dealing with here. And she doesn't stop. Here she is today responding to this quote, this thing. This is Candace Owens clip 14.
And the thing that is especially absurd about that is trying to almost like, I want to be clear that Turning Point USA is my family. The Charlie Kirk show is my family. She's just expanding the wings of people that we're not allowed to critique because they're in the family. If you call them fam, you can't critique them, right? Oh, I'm sorry. We actually are showing a clip of Rob McCoy defending a pedophile or trying to launder the reputation of, that's fam. That's the CK show fam. Oh, I'm sorry. We are actually pointing to the fact that we know for certain that this person or organization is sexual deviant. That's fam. Don't you get me upset. I know that this is a now $150 million in the last 3-month organization, and we employ tons of people, but you can't critique. You can't critique the fam. And I hate to say this, but I'm going to be very clear here. This is why there are many people who do not believe that women are equipped to lead companies, because what you are watching here is an unbelievably emotional response that is absent of any logic, okay? If you really care about your team, answer the questions, okay? Just demystify the entire event. Come out, sit down, answer the questions so people don't think Turning Point USA looks so suspicious. Don't try to mom the organization and say, well, mother's upset because people are coming after her kids and all of this multi-million-dollar subsidiaries. That's my children, okay? The multi-million-dollar subsidiaries, Turning Point, like Turning Point Action, all that, those are my kids, so you can't critique them. Not a good idea. Okay, it may work in PR world. You guys, I know how it's an obvious PR campaign. It's never been more obvious of a psychological operation. I actually wish they would put me on payroll so I could help them make these things look more organic than having every single person that has been telling us to stop asking questions all make the exact same video within 4 seconds of each other, being like, whoa, Erika Kirk shuts down the No, she didn't even respond to one of the conspiracies. She gave us emotion. She gave us emotion. She said, I'm a mother, I am a wife, and we never asked about whether she was mother or wife. We want to know if she is a CEO and a chairman. And a CEO and a chairman has to compartmentalize. A CEO and a chairman cannot respond to valid questions and critiques about finances, about shady actions that are being taken by people that require presidential pardons, people that are meaningfully asking why we are not getting a clear answer of what took place on September 10th. A CEO, okay, does not get to respond and say, that's my family.
What a cold, nasty whore. First of all, she doesn't have to answer questions from you. You are nobody. Nobody has to answer your questions because they're not questions. They're conspiratorial accusations that make no sense. Okay? She doesn't have to answer Candace Owens' questions. And nobody thought anything was suspicious until you started hurling out all these conspiratorial things. The conspiratorial lies. Do you see how narcissistic this woman is? Put her on the payroll. You can tell she does not have people who like her. You can tell that. You can tell, no, she does not have real friends. And we know this because we don't see her around friends, really. We don't see her around other women. She got one little, one little girl, one little blonde white girl that like follows her around like she's some type of a superstar. That's not a friend. That's not a peer, okay? Nobody has to answer your questions. This is an investigation for the FBI, for the Utah police. They are handling this. Her conspiratorial lies that make no sense. She has not put out any evidence whatsoever. It's always just what is innuendos, implications. Let me tell you now, if you all are watching this, or if you are watching Candace Owens, you are not in the right space here. We don't want you.
Well, we do want our super chatters.
We do.
Thank you. We do want our super chatters. We do. We have Kung Fu CJ who's back again. Thank you for your $5 super chat. He says, why would an organization kill the goose that lays the golden eggs? She is a Fruit Loop, referring to Candace Owens. Kung Fu CJ again, thank you for your $2 super chat. Shelly been on fire since 8 p.m. Thank you, Kung Fu CJ. Bernie, thank you for your $10 super chat. He says, MTG is the latest rhino. You ladies do a great job. And by the way, I thought the Ravens were robbed Sunday. That looked like a touchdown. Bernie, you are right. They robbed. They robbed. Bernie, look, I'm not even a football aficionado. I'm not an expert in football, Bernie, but I was like, that's a football. I mean, that's a touchdown. He didn't even drop the ball until like the third. It was foul. That was foul what those refs did. The ref did. Kung Fu CJ, thank you for your $2 super chat. He says, just like Nicole, slapping folks in the face. Thank you. Thank you all.
That's slapping folks in the face. When she got her warrior sword out tonight, she's not playing with Candace tonight. Listen, folks, we have so much to be grateful for, so much to be thankful for. And this ongoing she said feud is just getting uglier by the day. Erika Kirk is indeed a grieving widow, and grief does not have a particular timeline. She's a lovely person, caring and nurturing. Candace summons the demons from hell, and she brings them with her to every almost battle that she almost solves. It's like Scooby-Doo without an ending. All the innuendo, but none of the result. But people like that. Some people like the feeling of they're investigating, they're moving things forward. Some people like that, and that too is okay. But what's not okay is her dragging this poor widow at every available turn, That is not okay. And even if you're a fan of the particular type of content that Candace makes, you have to admit that if you were standing in Erika Kirk's shoes, if your mother were standing, your sister were standing in Erika Kirk's shoes, you would have a problem with it. So get your girl, right? Because her husband clearly don't give a damn. As long as she's making money, she can continue to say what the hell she wants to say. Right. But understand that some of these people eventually will get some good legal advice, and there will be many, many, many lawsuits about the things that she's not alleging, but the things that she's stating as fact. Christian people turn the other cheek, but eventually they run out of cheeks. And you'll end up in court, a la Macron. Right now, the money that Brigitte Macron is going to win from Candace Owens, 100% she's going to win. I strongly suggest she go to our website and buy herself some t-shirts, Unapologetically American, and she could pass it out to the jurors and thank them very much for bringing Candace to heel. Get them now while they're hot. It's probably too late to get them by Christmas. I told you a couple of weeks ago, make your move, but you can get them by the new year so you can go out and celebrate America 250 in style. Now, last week, I told everybody that I would get you some photographs from the White House tour to see the Christmas trees. It was incredibly limited this year, mostly because of the construction that went on. So it was a very short tour, but a great tour. So go to my Instagram page and you will see the most beautiful things that we saw. My favorite thing was the gingerbread house. Every year, it's something different with the gingerbread house. It's the White House. But this year, they showed the yellow oval room. It's in the private quarters of the president. And I zoomed in real tight because I got the Samsung and not that stupid iPhone. So you could actually see how terrific. They even put little furniture. It is so very cool. So go onto my Instagram page and check it out so you can see all the wonderful that Melania Trump and the designers came up with for the holiday season.
All right. Absolutely. Folks, again, as you there it is. Okay, there she is at the White House.
It's my Christmas card because I'm cheap like that, right?
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah, me and my friends, a bunch of us at the White House having a good time.
Yes.
And I think this is the one with all of the photos. See if we can get it. Go back up. The one that says 20 hearts, I think, is the one with all the photos. Yeah. And click the little arrow. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's the entrance. That's the nativity that people swore that they didn't have. There's the nativity. This is also in the entrance. I really like the candles on the tree. I would never do that at my house, but I thought it was a lovely look.
Well, that's actually traditional. So in Europe, that's how they don't use lights. That's the original way they lit trees. They had candles and it would go through a string. You would light one string and it lights up the whole tree. Now, it's definitely a fire hazard, but that's how they originally lit the Christmas trees.
So this is the gingerbread house where I was talking about
that's the initial, yeah.
Yellow oval room. Can you see the little furniture they have built into? It was so cute.
I love doll houses. Like
it's made of
this is gingerbread. But, I mean, that's gingerbread. But I love doll houses. Oh my gosh, I've always loved doll houses.
This is the whole White House made out of gingerbread. It's been there for maybe a week or two. It's no longer edible. I asked the Secret Service guy if he was going to take a piece. He was like, absolutely not. So, but that's laying out in the stateroom. There was a terrific high schooler jazz band that played Saturday night, and they were terrific. Everybody who was there for Black History Month knows that table. That's the table that had the lamb chops on it. We call it the lamb chop table. That's not the official name. It's the state dinner. But these trees were amazing. This was the nation's tree. And all of these bulbs have, each state has its own bulbs. So it was amazingly beautiful. And you'd see people walking around looking for their state. So I got Texas. It's one of my favorite states. And this is Pennsylvania, my home state. And of course, Maryland. Okay, I got some of Maryland, right? Maryland was pretty high up, right? So I got some of Maryland for that. And again, that's what the whole tree looked like from across the room. They don't let you get too close, so you can't really touch things, which is probably a good idea because I'm pretty clumsy. It's a good idea not to let me get too close. These were the garlands and the wreaths that were hanging on the very large mirrors. They are absolutely gorgeous with the presidential seal. It gave everything such a glow. This is the ornament for this year. Every year for Christmas, there's a new presidential ornament. You can get it from the White House Historical Society. If you're not in the DC area, if you're in the DC area, you can go to the Visitor Center and buy one. More trees, more trees. This is in the vestibule, and that's right out in front with the presidential seal. Again, my Christmas card. So everybody who's expecting a Christmas card, this is what it's going to look like. So it's the grand entrance into the White House, and talk about a great time. A very short tour. It's not like it's usually been where you could spend like an hour or two, maybe 40 minutes. The best part of the tour, of course, is always the treats that they give you when you leave. They give you some chocolates in a presidential candy container. As we walked out, unfortunately, you come in the same way you go out, and we had to go through some protesters. Believe it or not, people out there protesting Christmas. Protesters, and one gentleman, I'm using that term loosely, who was dressed kind of like a delightful chimney sweep, said to me, "Hey, white trash."
What?
Wait, it made me laugh so hard. Like I had to check myself, like, who is he talking to? So I turned around and I was like, oh, he must be talking to one of my friends, right? And no, he meant me, white trash. So I offered to pay for an eye exam for him. And then it just kind of went downhill from there. I said I would go over to his house and shake his trailer. He keeps playing with me. So we decided to walk away. And that's a testament to my own personal growth, because a couple of years ago, it would have been a problem. But the protesters were protesting, of course. There were Free Palestine people out there. There was, we don't like Trump. We don't like Melania. We don't like you. We don't like Christmas. We don't like Jews. There was a hodgepodge of everybody, but all of them were getting paid. Most of them were 65 or older. And it was just really shameful. It was super shameful. But the tour itself is absolutely lovely. The Secret Service, of course, these guys are very happy to show off the White House, and they are full of little stories and things like that. So maybe next year when the ballroom is finished, if I can get my hands on 200,000 tickets, maybe we can all go together. Right?
Nice.
It would be great.
Well, that's beautiful. It's always nice to go to the White House around the holidays. So yes, indeed. And thank you for sharing your photos with us. Thank you.
For sure.
All right. So moving right along, want to get back on this train, back on the track. So I want to talk a little bit about accountability and how the accountability and standards have been removed from society. And actually, President Trump is trying to fix it. Take a look at this next clip. This is clip 5, where the Trump administration just ended a woke legal doctrine that rewrote America's standards. This is clip 5. Take a look.
Racial discrimination lawsuit for $2.5 million.
Apparently, discrimination is still so rampant in America that companies and taxpayers pay millions to compensate victims.
Maryland State Police hoping to settle a U.S. Justice Department investigation into its alleged racial discrimination by paying almost $3 million.
This is ridiculous. Taxpayers should not be on the hook for this.
Heather McDonald, author of When Race Trumps Merit, says America isn't so racist, but companies and taxpayers pay anyway because of a legal doctrine called disparate impact.
You say disparate impact is destroying our civilization. Most people don't even know what it is.
It is their greatest weapon against excellence, and it is an abuse of the spirit of our civil rights laws.
Disparate impact rules say any policy or test in which some races or sexes do better than others is illegal discrimination, even if the policy itself has nothing to do with race. For example,
the Maryland State Police wanted to make sure that the state troopers could read at a very basic level. It was a colorblind, neutral test of skills.
But because black applicants got lower scores, the test was ruled racist. The state was also found guilty of sexism because women got lower scores on its physical fitness test.
Hiring tests that unfairly and unlawfully excluded them from employment.
Maryland agreed to pay millions and to change its standards because the test had a disparate impact.
So disparate impact means that an institution can be completely colorblind. It can want to have as many different races as possible. But if it has a standard that blacks do poorly on, you got to throw out the standard.
New York taxpayers also paid when a lawsuit claimed the test for teachers was racist.
Even though you've spent decades throwing out every question on this exam that has too wide a racial divergence, you still didn't have the same proportion of black applicants passing as white applicants. We're going to throw out the exam, and you, New York taxpayers, are liable for $2 billion.
The only reason they're behind.
All right, let's get into this because this disparate impact is huge. It's behind most of the policy that the left pushes in everything. This is where they get equity, inclusion, all of this stuff. They are basing it on the idea that if the exam or if whatever the outcome does not match the workforce or the whatever the pool of people that are out in this area, then they think it's discrimination. Shelley, what are your thoughts on this?
Bravo. If we are going to, I guess, run on meritocracy, then we need to start doing these things. One of the things I want to mention or point out is that President Trump signed the executive order. I think it was May, April, somewhere around that time frame, and it applies to federal standards. Heather McDonald mentioned Maryland, maybe because that's a state standard. That's why. So the executive order applies to federal law, not state law necessarily. But we do need to bring back the standards. We cannot guarantee outcomes for every represented group or person. That's just not, it's not feasible. Stop trying to play God with people's lives, if you will. You cannot determine that, and you cannot guarantee everybody's outcome will be the same. If everybody's outcome is going to be the same, then what's kind of the point of even having different people sign up?
Yeah. Nicole, I mean, this is something that the left has really taken control over the messaging. You know, remember when Kamala Harris, she put out that thing during her campaign where you had the box and you had people trying to look over the fence. And so she believed you're supposed to give some people a taller box so they can get easily over the fence. This is ingrained in the left. How do we explain to people this is not fair? It's not equality. And it does lead to poor standards.
Well, listen, it's easy to explain, but again, taking away people's reasoning for not being excellent, for not trying, is hard because that makes people kind of look at themselves in the mirror and say, okay, well, why am I not successful? Well, it's because the white guy. It's because the white woman. It's because the Mexicans are here. It's because, the Irish came. It's because we're on stolen land. Any excuse that prohibits you from doing what you need to do to be successful in this life is demonic. I'm just going to call it what it is. When we think about making sure, especially young Black men get this message, what I've always told my nephews is, it's unfair that LeBron James won't let me play basketball with him so I too can make billions of dollars. It's unfair. It's absolutely unfair. And they're like, what are you talking about? You don't know how to play basketball? I said, right. But if we're going to just keep everything equal across the board, I should have an NBA position just like LeBron has, right? And they said, well, you can't play. I said, right. So here's the thing. God blessed us all different. Find your path and your lot in life and excel. Keep your head down, work hard, and you too will have success. We have a success sequence, and nowhere in it does it say everybody starts equal. We don't. We don't start equal. We might finish equal, but we never start equal. God made us different across the board. Embrace your difference, stand on it. That box that Kamala was talking about, that generic white box that she wanted to give people different sizes so they could get over, God already gave us talents and skills. You have to develop your talent. You have to develop your skills. Politically, they don't want to hear that. They want brown people, Black people to hear that, the world doesn't think you're good enough, but I think you are. You just need a little bit more help. Vote for me and I'll get you the bigger box so you can get over the fence. They do this and it works. it works because, it does not challenge people to do better. It makes people lazy. I mean, you talk about participation trophies, everybody equal. So nothing means anything. There is no excellence. It's all mediocrity.
Right. And disparate impact is the government version, rewarding mediocrity, pushing excellence, punishing excellence, and trying to force equal outcomes instead of equal opportunities. But it all started with participation trophy culture. Take a look here. This is clip 8.
If you went back to the 1950s, a 13-year-old boy in gym class was expected to be able to do 10 pull-ups. A 13-year-old girl, a 20-second hang. A boy, 45 sit-ups. A girl, 40. A boy, 7 seconds in the 50-yard dash. A girl, 7.8 seconds. And the idea was to promote strength, competition, achievement, and health. But since then, we have seen the weakening of America. The standards had been put together by President Dwight D. Eisenhower, who believed the physical fitness of the nation was a matter of national security following 2 world wars. By the early 2000s, those standards had been replaced with participation trophy culture. And around that time, a lot of states started using curriculum put together by SHAPE. And they took physical education away from focusing on things like this and made it about things like accepting cultural diversity and different body types. Many states align with these standards. And what they did is replace strength with feelings. And the result has been weakness. They replaced competition with participation. And the result has been indifference. They replaced achievement with inclusion. And the result has been depression. They replaced health with acceptance. And the result has been sickness. And as parents, it's our job to make sure that our children are taking physical fitness seriously because it helps with health, quality of life, gaining opportunities, and commanding respect. And
all right. Well done. And what we have now are fragile, entitled adults. Shelley, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think this was according to the Kansas University Medical Center in 2022. I think they gave a report that gave our nation's students physical fitness a D, which pretty much remained the same from 2022. Now, having said that, let's add in that young people, by and large, older people too, are more sedentary, right? We have these little things that we carry around all day in front of a screen. Children don't go outside and just play. And I'm talking about free play, not even structured sports. They just don't have free play. There's a whole lot of factors, diabetes, obesity, all those things are factored in. But the thing is that we have to start changing that again, right? Standards, physical fitness, physical education, if you will, is one thing. But as parents, as adults, we need to encourage children to when we were Gen Xers, get your butt out this house, okay? If you don't stay outside, you're going to come in and you're going to do some housework. We were outside all day long. I know there's things going on in different communities, crime, all kinds of things, but we were generally encouraged, if not forced, to run your butt outside, bicycles, skates, skateboards, hopscotch, double dutch, whatever, hide and seek for all that matters, right? We loved it. And I lament that children, young people largely do not have that today. We really don't. I think we were better for it. We didn't have the cell phones all day long. We had cartoons on Saturdays pretty much. And that was pretty much it. We might see a couple of sitcoms during the week after we did our homework. But for the most part, I think we were better for it as well. We learned how to get along. We fight each other, then we're friends. We learn how to get dirty. We learn how to, think, if you will, right? So I lament that for young people today. But again, part of this MAHA movement, maybe we can start encouraging these things again, right in the local sphere where we are, because waiting for a national, if you will, an edict, it's not going to trickle down. It's going to have to start bottom up.
Yeah. Nicole, what are your thoughts on this participation trophy culture?
It has really harmed our children mentally. And that, when he talked about depression, depression, anxiety, you're hard pressed to find 20 somethings that aren't on Lexapro or Wellbutrin or something, because they never developed the skills of actually socializing with one another. Gen Xers, we had this thing, right? Nobody wanted to be in the house with their parents. We wanted out bad. We did whatever we had to do to get out of the house. And we didn't even come back to pee. We would find a place that would let a bunch of kids come in and pee. Nobody wanted to be in the house with their parents because we learned how to develop relationships. And there were pedophiles then, and there was crime then, but we were smart enough to realize, oh, Mr. Wilson over here got a thing for kids. We're keeping away from Mr. Wilson because I'm not going to be over there with the booty monster. You know what I mean? These kids don't have the socialization skills that we learned at an early age that was reinforced as we move through adulthood. They're very much digital people. And so they have some social skills that we don't have because they like digital people, and they know there are digital freaks out there in the world too, but it has cost them their ability to sleep at night. And without sleeping, your mind goes through all kinds of changes. They find themselves depressed because if someone says something horrible about you online, it's the end of your world. When we were kids, people talk smack all the time. We would sit there and play the dozens and talk about each other's mamas for hours, and nobody took it personal. And every now and again, when someone did and popped up, there was a fight, and Shelly's right. The next day we were good. They haven't developed those skills. So we're learning about physical fitness and how that relates to mental health. And that's something that I think the Mahav movement has gotten right. We have to get our children healthy again, not only in their body, but also in their minds.
Yeah. And as you both mentioned, disparate impact and this participation trophy culture are replacing accountability with excuses. That takes us to this next story. This is heartbreaking. So not sure if you guys have seen this viral video, but basically a group of 8 teens, I believe, from Philadelphia were recently arrested in Florida after stealing thousands of dollars of merchandise from Dick's Sporting Goods. And the sheriff went off. Talk about accountability. Take a look. This is clip 6.
First and foremost, I want to compliment the Cocoa Tigers. They won the championship after finishing the season 15-0. It was the Atlantic Coast Youth Athletics Association. And they beat the Thoroughbreds 26-6. I mean, they didn't just beat them, they ran over them. And the Thoroughbreds were from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So, Cocoa Tigers, you did it the right way. That's teamwork with great young men doing the right thing. Now I want to introduce you to 8 of the Thoroughbreds. And here they are. You look at the Thoroughbreds and you find out, what were they doing? What were they doing on Saturday morning? Well, let me tell you what they were doing. They Ubered from where they were staying. They had come from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, down to the Dick's Sporting Good in Posner Park. Not only did they Uber down there to shop, they had no intentions of paying for their product. So they came into the store in 2 groups, and they began to systematically steal product. And that's exactly what they did. They stole, and they stole, and they stole, and they stole, and they stole. Yeah, how do you like that? This is everything that they stole. And guess what? As we've said before, you can't go any place, anytime, that you're not on a camera. So Dick's Sporting Goods knows that they're stealing because they're watching this systematic, organized theft ring called a football team. Now, not only did they steal 47 items, but ostensibly, they may have cost their team the championship and the football game because I don't know if these all were starters or not, but I can tell you that we were finishers.
All right. You saw it. He's not playing around. Shelly, your thoughts?
Wait a minute. Before I respond, I need to read these super chatters to say thank you for our supers. Thank you for your donations. We have the voice of reason, DeAngelis. Thank you for your $5 super chat. And we appreciate that so much. He says, that's BS. Learn to effing or fucking read or get stronger. Shrinkarella, thank you for your $5 super chat. She says, equity does not exist anywhere, not even within a single racial group. You cannot rig outcomes and claim discrimination when it doesn't work. Exactly. Thank you for that. Josh, thank you, Josh, for stepping in tonight. Josh, for your $20 super chat. He says, President Trump is back on offense. He issued the new U.S. security doctrine, sidelined the EU and Zelensky and all who all hate him. And he's aiming to sign a big economic package with Putin. Now he's launching his big economic tour. That's right. Thank you, Josh, for stopping in tonight. Hope you're doing well. And we have another one, the voice of reason again. He says, thank you for your $5 super chat. He says, this angers me so much. You play a stupid game, you win a stupid prize. Tommy Sotomayor, throw the whole book at these losers. This makes me angry. Abso-freaking-lutely. Look, first of all, y'all got to stop playing with these sheriffs in Florida because they're not playing with you, okay? These sheriffs mean business. And those thoroughbreds, I call them thugs. Call me racist, what you want. That thugs, they are uncouth, they're thieves. They should be locked up. They should be prosecuted. They should not play on any high school or whatever team they came from. They should have to pay every cent back after they do their time. That's what they need to do. I'm sick of this. This is utterly, it's not just a crime. It should be embarrassing. Their parents should be embarrassed. The communities that they represent, they're proud. I hope they are. If they have any sense of accountability, their parents will be embarrassed and their parents will make sure they get the book thrown at them. That's what they said. That's what happened about the coach. Yeah, that's what would have happened to us as Gen Xers. That's exactly what have happened to us. We would have not only would we have been punished or prosecuted, whatever the case may be, but many of our parents and adults will be standing right there siding with the judge and the lawyer and the prosecutor.
Yeah,
then
and
you
the
would have
coach
to work
was asking for them to. You heard what he said about the coach. The coach was asking for them to drop the charges.
Yeah, because there are certain blue places in this country where children can do just about anything. Minors can do just about anything and walk away scot-free. So they don't learn, like going from very blue Philadelphia, coming to Florida and thinking that the same rules apply is something only someone who doesn't have good common sense would think, like a kid. Did the coach tell them, hey, don't go down here stealing and acting a fool? He shouldn't have to tell them that. Their parents should have told them, be on your best behavior. Ubering over to Dick's to steal 47 things? That's ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd. And for the coach to ask for them to be let go tells me that he's not teaching these kids what they need to learn. The coach should have been saying, listen, not only are they going to do whatever you need them to do, but they're going to work at Dick's, they're going to stock the shelves, they're going to apologize and bring every single thing back. That's how you raise young men. You cannot continue to let them think that up until you're 21, you can do whatever you want to do with impunity. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
You're right. You are absolutely right. But that takes us to this next story. So, folks, this is just horrifying. Talking about accountability and hoping that people face consequences within our law and justice and legal system. It did not happen in this. We're talking about the case of Jesse Butler. All right. So Jesse Mack Butler, he's 18. He's 18 at the time, from Stillwater, Oklahoma, was your classic high school golden boy. He was a star baseball player at Stillwater High School with the NCAA scouts buzzing. He's the son of Mack Butler, a longtime director of operations for Oklahoma State University's football team. Think privileged jock archetype living in a college town where OSU rules everything. But behind the facade, a monster who preyed on two 16-year-old classmates he dated, turning relationships into nightmares of the R word, raping without the G, strangulation, and terror. Folks, this isn't some he said, she said thing either. Cops found video on his phone of him choking one of the victims unconscious. So just want to give you a quick backstory. So early 2024, Butler was between 16 and 17 years old. He dated victim one, who was 16, choked her during assaults. He threatened to kill her and her family if she refused sex. She needed surgery for neck damage. Doctors say says 30 more seconds of strangling, she would have been dead. Then victim two, who was 16, reports 6 months of repeated grapes, instrumentation. So this is objects used in assaults and battery, all while he strangled her for wrong answers during these acts. Now, he was arrested, and take a look at this. This is clip 7.
Give me your wallet and phone and stuff. So, okay. Your what? They're in the car. Well, okay, it's fine. It's not locked or anything, is it? Okay. So, can you tell him what you just told me, or?
Yeah. So we're here. We're obviously going to place you under arrest. There's a warrant for your arrest. We're going to take you to the jail. I told your mom that she can contact a bondsman, and you shouldn't be very long. But there just is a process for paperwork and stuff. But right now, you do have to come with us, and I do have to put you in handcuffs. So turn around for me. Yeah. I'll get you out. For me? All right. Stay silent. Rick knows about this. Candy's on this. Dad's on his way. We're coming to get you, okay? Stay strong, okay? Say your prayers. Okay, so he's going to go right to the city of Stillwater jail, and if you'll just contact her, then she does this all the time. She knows what to do.
Yeah.
Make sure
Okay.
she knows Stillwater Police Department, not county.
Yeah.
Stillwater Police Department.
Yeah.
On Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let them know that we're the ones that picked them up.
And when we say we are
Stillwater PD.
Stillwater PD.
Yeah.
Okay.
That way they don't think he went straight over and go with the county.
Awful experience.
And spread your feet for me.
Jesse Mack Butler from Stillwater, Oklahoma, was charged with 11 felonies. Police found video on his phone of him assaulting girls. One girl was strangled unconscious and had to go emergency vascular surgery. That is attempted murder territory. But he was never charged with that. Jesse Mack Butler didn't avoid prison by accident. People in power protected him, and today I'm going to show you exactly who they are. First up, we have Judge Susan C. Worthington. She approved the youthful offender classification that let Butler avoid prison entirely. Next, we have District Attorney Laura Austin Thomas. Her office agreed to the deal instead of pushing for real prison time. Next up is the Executive Director of Oklahoma Office of Juvenile Affairs, who will now be supervising him like he's some troubled teen and not a violent predator. His name is Timothy Tartabono. He was handed a fake 78-year sentence on paper, but the court stayed it, meaning he doesn't serve a single day in prison as long as he follows his rehab program. Rehab after strangling a girl unconscious? Make that make sense. And he isn't on any registry. You will not be notified if he moves next door to you. He could be anywhere right now. This wasn't justice. This was power protecting violence.
Folks, he was facing 78 years maximum sentence. He is home free. He does not have to go to jail. Shelley, how did this happen?
It happens primarily because you have parents like that mother who stood in the door and, be strong and, okay, we're coming to get you. No, bastard. You would have been rotting in the jail on that cot on the cold floor until whatever, the judge gives you your arraignment, indictment, whatever the case may be. This is the big part of the problem. This is why I say we have bubble-eyed children. The parents want to protect them from everything, heinous crimes like this on tape, no less, right? This is why the movie Nightmare on Elm Street was so popular, okay? This is why Freddy was burned, okay? Yeah, he came back and demonized everybody, but this is why those parents stopped putting up with him messing and dealing with children. People like this guy, all I can say is wherever you move, I hope there's some reasonable parents there.
I can't believe it. I mean, this is beyond. Nicole, what are your thoughts here?
Listen, big football is big football. You know, his dad working with OSU in a small college town where football is everything and that team is all they have to look forward to. And you match that with judges who say, well, he looks like my son. And you know, even the way the police came to arrest him was soft. You know, I get it, you know, community policing and you want to put your best foot forward, but it wouldn't have been, you're going to be okay. I would have taken him down with extreme prejudice. Do you hear me? I probably would have tased him if he dropped a tear and said I was threatened. It would have been an all-out assault on him the same way that he assaulted these girls. He strangled a girl almost to death where she required vascular surgery. You see him grabbing another girl off her feet as she's trying to hold on to the wall to protect herself from him. A chain around her neck with a master lock on it, and this kid's not going to see a day?
Nothing.
You know what's going to happen? People like this don't get cured.
No way! I don't know. I was talking about rehab.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
They continue to get away with it in these type of communities. And once they've done all the assaulting they intend to do in this community, they'll move on to other communities. He'll move on to communities where people don't care about the particular young women that he's going to assault. They're throwaway people. In maybe 10 years, we'll see him on Netflix. They'll have some kind of Jeffrey Dahmer-esque movie about him and how he could have been stopped. Yet these activist judges and this soft parenting, even soft policing, gave him permission to continue. These type of predators don't get better.
No,
they do not get better. There is no fix. Even chemical castration does not take away their desire to do these type of depraved things. For them, it's like breathing. For them, it's like, you know, a part of their day-to-day. Intensive therapy, great. He can have that behind bars. Because what's going to happen, and mark my words, he's going to try this with somebody who's right and ready for it, and they'll be carrying him in a pine box.
Good.
Not all parents play these games when it comes to their daughters. I know.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Well, we have a few super chatters first. I'm sorry. We have a few super chatters here. We have the Voice of Reason again. Thank you for your $5 super chat. This angers me so much, he says. You play a stupid game, you win a stupid prize. Tommy Sotomayor, throw the whole book at these losers. This makes me so angry. Thank you for your $5 super chat. Josh is back again for your $20 super chat. He says, my new favorite thing is watching funny Instagram reenactment videos about Gen X, 80s, and 90s moms busting and reprimanding their kids. That's what is desperately needed today, for real. Exactly. Yes,
absolutely.
Josh. The Voice of Reason is back again. Thank you for your $10 super chat. He says, okay, as Shell stated, she is trying to curse less. I was telling Logic a few weeks back that I have not been sounding reasonable lately, but some stories I want to make you want to beat the hell out of blah, 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 ... And thank you, Gloria Beardsley. I hope I'm saying it correctly tonight. Thank you for your $10 super chat and for being a member of our Freedom Club. She says, my opinion is that internet is the legendary beast in the Bible. Okay.
That's a good point.
Thank you all, everybody. Look, Nicole KJ, you're right. Not only is it the parents, see, when parenting fails, right? Society needs a second level. That second level are supposed to be, the law, if you will, the law enforcement, the judicial system. Those are things that are supposed to be in place to protect innocent people. Let me just, you said he strangled her until she needed vascular surgery. Let me just put that in common language that most people will probably understand. He strangled her to the point where she had a vessel burst. what we call an aneurysm or a burst vessel. And so you lose oxygen anyway, but she lost blood flow up to her, from her neck on up to her brain. That's basically what it was. That's what you saw, probably her injuries there, when that picture they showed. But so a vessel burst in her neck and or in her head. That's it. She was damn near dead, basically.
Yeah.
Lord. Yeah,
That's
they said the cops, when they raided his home to arrest him on 10 felonies as an adult, first degree grape, 2 attempted grapes, 3 grape by instrumentation, sexual battery, forcible oral sodomy, 2 domestic assault by strangulation, and 1 domestic battery, plus a protective order violation. Body cam footage shows him cuffed while mom watches. Okay, so we saw that. And there was no remorse.
Foolishness. I mean, first
So
of all,
the fact that he had a protective order violation already says that he's had charges or other times that he's been facing the court before. So I don't know which charges were the most recent ones, but that also tells me that the parents have known that he at least has the possibility of doing some of these crimes, because he's already had a protective order against them. So this is not new to them. That's why that mother didn't look shocked. She didn't look upset. She just looked, oh, just calm down, stay strong. This is why his record, he's been in front of the court before. He is a known menace to society, and menace is putting it lightly. He is deadly. He is dangerous. That prosecutor, that judge, the other, whatever, social worker, whatever her title was, they all need to be disbarred and brought up on, at the very least, ethical charges and malfeasance charges.
There's just something inherently wrong with a parent allowing their child to kind of hold on to this kind of depravity. Now, Shelley has a point. He had a restraining order. So that means that there was a previous incident of some sort. Why was he not then getting the intensive therapy they're trying to give him now?
Maybe
Why
he
not?
was.
It couldn't have been, because intensive therapy is intensive, which means his butt would have been somewhere in a facility, not sitting at home eating sandwiches, thinking about what else he can do, other things that he can put into women or young girls. When someone's mind is missing the filter between civil and things that are uncivil, as a parent, yes, that's your baby. Yes, that's your child. But for womankind, you have to intervene. You have to intervene for your child. You have to intervene for the rest of everybody else. It just seems to me that these parents were like, oh, well, she's lying. Okay, well, fine. It happened. And maybe they argue. They're trying to rationalize away something that is so sick and demented in their child. And it may be that, his sexual predilection is these type of things. But what can't happen is the parents drop the ball, the police drop the ball, the court drops the ball, and every girl in that town is going to pay for it.
My Lord. Well, folks, we will continue to follow this. All I can say is arm your children, arm your girls, arm them, teach them self-defense. Because this is, I can't, I have no words. I have no words. I can't imagine. And we need to pray for the victims, because they're dealing with this. They're still out there and knowing that this guy is roaming free. Not only do they have to deal with the repercussions mentally and physically of abuse and this violation, but then to know that he has not faced any consequences. Oh,
it's a shame.
Lord, just help him. Yes, it is.
We just cannot, as a society, allow this to be the new normal. We just cannot. Right. The world is already tough for womankind. The last thing we need is to let the predators run loose. At some point, that community is going to have to stand on some standards, and it would start with getting that judge off the bench. Absolutely off the bench. I don't care if the DA said that, he brought a note in from the 12 disciples, his butt going to jail. You hear me? Because the girl that he said, I'm going to kill your family if you say anything, and he gets off scot-free, skinning and grinning for the cameras. How do you think she feels Do you think she feels safe? Do you think her family is feeling safe? Can you imagine being the father of one of these girls and wanting to hurt this young man? Because you know, if something happens to him, if one of those fathers puts hands on him, they're definitely going to jail. 100% going to jail. This is outrageous behavior.
It is. All right, folks. Well, that does it for us tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. We will be back on Fridays. Today, Wednesday? Yeah, I'm not getting my days all running together. We'll be back on Friday night at 9 p.m. So please hit that notification bell so you know when we go live. And we appreciate the support. All right. Again, hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Share this video in a DM. Share it in a DM on your social media and a text message. We're trying to grow this movement and also reach 250,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And we know we can do it with your help. All right. Again, if you haven't caught the All American Talk Show, they were on last night on the All American Talk at All American Talk. Check them out. Phil was on there and he's breaking down the latest in news. And then tomorrow night, you can catch me on at KJ Christian Conservative. We've been gone for like a week, but we are back tomorrow night and we are fired up. So you can catch us there for a biblical perspective on all this and more at KJ Christian Conservative. And then on Saturdays, check out Just the Guys podcast at 6:30 p.m. at Just the Guys podcast for a male point of view. All right, folks. Thank you all so much. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.
Good night.